So we've done our cover and concealment lab, we've done our ballistic lab. We're going to close out this portion of concepts and terms and definitions with a quick ballistic lab going through the glass. Now, with regards to shooting through glass, there's a bunch of different schools of thought. If we are in a complex attack where we need to get our gun into the fight immediately, we don't want to waste time with trying to offset our sights or worry about the deviation of the round. One of the arguments that's out there is that because we're shooting through a curved surface, this is going to deflect the angle of our round, and thus we should offset our sights so that we can compensate for that. That's just not going to fly in the real world. That is more flat range training where we're looking for solutions that address problems where there's not fire coming back at you. Instead of trying to offset our sights and add a lot more stuff to our OODA loop, we want to go ahead and get our trigger as quick as possible and send as many rounds downrange in as quick as amount of time as possible. Some of the reasons why people get confused as to whether or not they should offset their sights is because if we need to do hostage rescue, if we need to shoot into the vehicle, we need to be aware of what kind of offset and what kind of deviation our round is going to have. Now, if we are taking those kind of shots because we are in that kind of profession, we need to make sure that we understand that the curvature of the glass goes in a lot of different directions. So it's not enough to just shoot at a vehicle head on to see where the round deviates. You need to be pretty sure of where that round's going to go from a lot of different angles so you can get your dope on. This is something that confuses a lot of shooters because they know the rounds are going to deviate on the way in. So on the way out, they say we should go ahead and offset our sights. In the middle of a complex attack, if you're in an active shooter situation, if you are ambushed and your car is immobilized and you need to shoot through glass, you need to put as many rounds downrange as quick as possible. What that's going to look like is we're going to have Danny go ahead and shoot 5 rounds as quickly as he can shoot center mass at this target, and we're going to see what kind of deviation we have and where the overall impacts are. All right, let's see what that looks like. Shooter, stand by. Shot. So we can see that the point of departure on this glass, we've got a few different holes where the rounds are actually going through. So we created a port for those rounds to go through. Now, this type of safety glass is particularly devastating towards bullets. So if we can create a bigger hole for these rounds to go through, that's going to be better off for us getting rounds on target. Now, if we look at the target, we can actually see that the very first round hit at about the chest line right here. So not a strong deviation upward. And the 4 subsequent rounds actually hit center line going down instead of going up. So the arguments that there's deviation with the glass and the bullets, maybe, maybe not. What we do know is that glass is incredibly devastating to rounds. So rather than try to add things to our decision-making process with regards to offsetting our sights, trying to aim our sights, try to track where the enemy's at, try to think about the next move we're gonna make in the fight, let's just go ahead and make it as simple as possible and put as many rounds downrange through that windshield as quick as possible. Something else to consider too is what distance we should be engaging these targets at. Somewhere around 15 yards is where you're going to run out of effective engagement through windshield shooting at a target with a carbine. So we want to be mindful of that distance and recognize that when we're amped up, if it's nighttime, we might misread the terrain. So let's be very aware of when we do decide to employ our gun from inside our vehicle and we have to shoot out our windshield as opposed to getting outside of the car so we can clear our muzzles.